Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV, and it's the Uncensored match build-up show. Another massive game for Arne Slot's Reds, this time up at St James's Park tomorrow night, December 4th at 7:30 kickoff, which is causing Luke some problems with his travel arrangements potentially getting up to Newcastle. But yeah, I'm still here joined by Luke Fury and by Jay Pearson for this one. We're going to have a little look at Newcastle, their form, injury updates, all that kind of stuff. A look at the Reds and what they might do in terms of team selections, rest, rotation, injuries, all that kind of stuff. And of course, at the end of the show, we'll have a little look around at the other Premier League fixtures as well. However, before we do, very, very quickly, we are going to do our latest Advent prize draw. So we've given away 2 prizes already. We're going to be doing these every single day in December for our Redmen Plus Legend subscribers. 25 competitions. We've given signed goods away already. By the way, the prize for Christmas Day / Boxing Day is a signed Kenny Dalglish shirt, which is awesome. Today we're giving away one of our other Christmas sweaters. It is our parsnips down to turkey, which is a great pun. To avoid any legal issues, let's just say video game inspired. let's just leave it at that. So yeah, if you are one of our Redmen Plus Legend subscribers, you're in the draw. So I'm going to bring the wheel up on screen now. Say I am. Producer Aaron's going to do it for me. There we go. Let's click it. Let's spin it. Let's find out who won. Congratulations. Well in. Well done to Coops 1969. There you go, Mr. or Mrs. Coops. The jumper will be on its way to you just in time for you to wear at Christmas. So yeah, I'll get in touch with you. Well done. Yeah, keep tuned in. We'll give again a prize draw every single day in December. Still to give away, I mentioned the signed Kenny Dalglish shirt. There's a signed David Fairclough shirt. There's stuff signed by Neil Mellor, Michael Owen. Yeah, there's loads to give away. We'll crack on doing those. Go to redmenplus.com, join us as a legend, and yeah, you'll be in those draws. 3 down, 22 to go. Not so much 3 down, 22 to go for Liverpool, Jay, in terms of games in the Premier League. It's actually 13 down, 25 to go. Yeah. The first of those next 25 is away at Newcastle. From their point of view, it's again, Newcastle are having a bit of a strange season, that they're kind of losing games you'd expect them to win. But, you know, City went up there and found it difficult and drew. Arsenal got battered, and I know it was only 1-0, but actually it was a pretty convincing performance from Newcastle. But then they've lost at home to West Ham. They have, like I say, they are currently in the league table 11th, which just shows they have been inconsistent. But big teams, the bigger teams in the league, have found it tough up there. Yeah, did Chelsea get beat as well? They beat Chelsea in the cup at home, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, when you look at last season, the way we performed up there as well, and you know, it was good to get that win eventually anyway. But it's a tough place to go, St James's Park. It really is. And like you said, Newcastle were a bit up and down. You know, I've got to take each game as it comes at me. You can't look too far ahead because we're in a league where everyone can beat anybody, and we're the best. We can't get complacent. So it's going to be a tough game, mate. I suppose from their point of view, like, look, we'll look at Newcastle's team. Like I mentioned, the form. They had a really good result recently against Arsenal, and then they went to Forest and won quite convincingly, which was a good win actually, because we know our Forest are causing a lot of teams problems. But then they kind of shit the bed on a Monday night against West Ham, and it was really poor. I watched that game; they were poor. At the weekend, like a very, very, very late goal to peg them back against Crystal Palace. So again, this is what happens around this time. You know, the fixtures come thick and fast, and things can happen. But we know, given what happened to City, given what happened to Arsenal, like, they do up their game up there for when the big sides roll in. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to say. It's never easy to go St James's Park, like yourself said, Jay. But turning into it, I think the home forms, it's actually not too bad. They're actually looking pretty good. It's the away form, isn't it, that's letting them down the league at the moment. You mentioned Crystal Palace there. I think they got battered against Crystal Palace at the weekend. I think they were lucky to come away with a point. A lot of big saves from Pope, stuff like that. So let's see what it is. I'd rather we play them now. We're rolling into it now. We know they're going to be up for it, but 7:30, probably much better than 12:30 or 3 o'clock on a Saturday when they're all going to be up for it. So let's just see what happens. I think it's coming at a better time than us than it has for them. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're not in the best, are they? What I would say fitness-wise for them, Jay, the big one, obviously, when Alex Isak limped off against Crystal Palace, there was talk that he might not play. He's declared himself fit, and he's a good player. We know he's hit Liverpool in the past, albeit actually more at Anfield than at their ground, but and thankfully Liverpool have often been okay up there. But that is the big one. Whether he's fit enough to completely start, we'll find out in due course. He said it was just a contract injury. He's ready and raring to go. That's massive positive for them because like they have got some quality attacking players. I know Anthony Gordon's a very good player, but Isak's the best of the lot, really.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And when he went down, and you saw the stuff on Twitter, didn't you, where like Arsenal fans are going, "Oh, Liverpool are the luckiest team in the world just because Isak's." My God, Isak's not going to stop us winning it if we are going to. You know what I mean? So, I knew he'd be fit, mate. But we've always got to watch out for him, like you said. And there's other players in that team that can hurt us.
Yeah, and from an attacking point of view, like I say, we'll find out if he's fit enough to start where he's at. But if it's a contact injury rather, and he's fine, it probably means that their front three, which is a very good attacking front three, Isak with Gordon one side, and then they've got options. I know they kind of used Joe Linton over there the other day, but they have got Harvey Barnes, Murphy can play there as well. They have got a front three that can hurt teams, and like I say, they hit Arsenal, they hit Manchester City, especially with that pacing behind from Anthony Gordon. It's definitely something Liverpool need to look out for.
Yeah, I was going to say that, you can expect them to sit back and sort of play on the break. The legs they've got up top, especially, you've got Barnes, Gordon, either side. I think Murphy's been playing one side, though, at the minute. Barnes has been on the bench, hasn't he? So they can hit you quick on the break. Isak's brilliant on the break. Was it his debut when he played us at Anfield? And he scored 2, one of them offside?
Yeah, one of them was off.
Yeah, and he was brilliant, so... He's always going to be a threat of stuff. He's going to be ever present all game. So you're just going to have to watch him.
What they have got as well, Jay, and it's interesting because when you look at Newcastle, their midfield, they've got some really good players in midfield, and they've got a lot of energy in there as well. So again, we'll wait and see. It's probably Joe Linton, Guimaraes, Tonali, which is a very good midfield. Like again, I know Joe Willock played at the weekend. He dipped in and out a little bit, but that Joe Linton, Bruno, Tonali three is as good as anything really. Like they're all top quality players. And they're all players who can play the ball, but also don't mind getting stuck into you a little bit as well. Like especially Joe Linton, who's transformed his career around. He's a very combative, energetic midfield. And if Liverpool are feeling any lasting effects of Real Madrid, followed by Manchester City, that is one area where Newcastle might be thinking, we can get at them in there. Yeah,
and it sort of mirrored that last year, wasn't it, when we played them? And Endo will end up having a really, really good game for us last season because of that midfield and how good they were. So they'll be straight on it again. So it'll be really interesting to see what Slot does with his midfield to combat that as well. Yeah, like I say, Liverpool, we'll touch on the team news in a moment. From a Newcastle point of view, though, sticking with you, actually, the issue that they've kind of had a bit, they have had centre-back injuries, and listen, we know what defensive injuries like Liverpool have got 3 of their own at the moment, but Botman and Lascelles being out, they've had to kind of mix and match. So Shaw plays pretty much ever present anyway. He's had a bit of Dan Burn next to him. They've changed things around where they can. I know Lewis Hall's been playing a little bit as well at fullback to move Dan Burn in. They are without Botman. I think is probably their best centre back. I'm not sure how much Lascelles will be featured anyway. He's probably more of a rotation option. I know against West Ham, for example, when they really did struggle, it was I think Lloyd Kelly played and ended up playing in there as well. So they have got centre-back issues, which is something hopefully Liverpool might be able to exploit. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not, given the form that Liverpool are in at the minute and the way we've just, took the piss out of Real Madrid and Man City in the space of a week, confidence was really high. So it's sort of like what Luke said before. So it's sort of set for more positivity for us than it is for Newcastle, like you said before. So that balance of whatever 3 we play tomorrow should not be an issue for playing against their centre half shouldn't be an issue for us. Yeah, they can put what they want out, mate. It shouldn't be an issue. When they were at their best, Newcastle a couple of years ago, under Eddie Howe, it was built actually as good as attack as they have. It was built on a really solid defence. They were really difficult to score against. They've got a good goalkeeper and they had a pretty tight back four. This season, like I say, they've conceded 14 goals, which it's the same really as the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. It's one more than Nottingham Forest, so it isn't the end of the world for them. But also, because they don't score that many, they've only scored 14 as well. Yeah. They're half relying on that defensive solidity, and they haven't quite managed to get the balance right given the injury situation. Yeah, I think the defensive solidity it's a bit of a weird one for Newcastle because on the stats they don't actually look too bad. When I was having a look at them yesterday. But in terms of how they're actually keeping people out, it's all Nick Pope. It's all Nick Pope keeping them in a lot of games. Yeah. He's 4th for saves in the league, but Newcastle are 5th for shots faced. So it's really difficult. The only teams above them are Brentford and the newly promoted sides. So they're clinging on to games. And Nick Pope keeping them in them. So I think they're missing that sense behind. That's what they went up to buy in the summer. They were looking at Mark Gahey, they were looking at Joe Gomez. They wanted another centre half, didn't he? He didn't get one through the door. Obviously, they got their hands tied a bit, haven't they, with FFP and all the rest of it, and having to sell to buy.
But I think we can exploit them. All it takes is Nick Pope to have a poor game and we can win 5-0.
You're right,
Well, he has the game of his life again.
Well, he has been recently. He has been having the game of his life.
He's been really impressive, and he has got history, both good and bad, against Liverpool. I know there's games at Burnley when he was like single-handedly keeping Liverpool out. He's also been sent off in this fixture before as well, recently. So he has got a mixed history. But he is right, Jay. Luke's right that Newcastle will give you chances. You've just got to make sure you take them, because, like I say, 14 goals conceded actually looks half decent, but then the underlying numbers suggest actually no, they're not the most difficult team to break through. They will give you a chance or two.
Yeah, exactly. And stats can be manipulated, can't they, to make him look good or bad. At the end of the day, the top 3 goalkeepers with the biggest save percentages are all 3 Liverpool goalkeepers, and Yaros is top with 100%. He played like 10 minutes, so it's they are misconstrued in that way, but you can't deny the ability of Pope because of how good he actually can be.
I suppose as well, Luke, it's worth mentioning, and Arne Slot said this in his presser today, is that usually teams who aren't playing European football, obviously Newcastle are one of those teams after the Champions League run a couple of years ago, they haven't qualified for any of the competitions this year. They usually get a week off, and that can really hurt you, but actually that isn't the case for them. They don't get it's a midweek game. This isn't playing Liverpool on a Saturday when Liverpool have been gallivanting around Europe midweek. Actually, Newcastle played again. They played West Ham Monday, then they played Palace Saturday, so they've had a little bit more break, don't get me wrong, but then they're getting Liverpool midweek. It is different that way. The game we've mentioned in the past, which have been tough sometimes, you can always get a free run at it. They haven't got that, and you just start to wonder. I felt their squad creaked a little bit last time out when they had the Champions League games. It did impact them a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how they respond after a relatively quick turnaround where perhaps aren't as used to it as previous years. Yeah,
you'd hope it'd leave them a little bit leggy, wouldn't you? Especially like we were talking about before with the pace on the break. You know what I mean? They leave them a little bit leggy, keeps them sort of shut out that counter attack a bit more for us. In terms of like the minutes under the belt thing, Anthony Gordon, stuff like that, he did struggle in the Champions League when they were playing sort of the back-to-back weeks, and you've seen that in the league form. So, like I said, I mentioned before, it's better for us this being midweek, I think, than it is for them. And like we said, injuries, sort of squad numbers, they don't really have the depth that we have to sort of rotate the team. So yeah, I fancy us, I really do, to be honest. So
we'll see how they get on. Yeah. After the break, we'll discuss more about Liverpool's team, injuries, tactics, all that kind of stuff. I will leave you with a trivia question for this break. Ponder over this one. Darwin Núñez famously scored both goals at Newcastle away, having come off the bench. He came off the bench in the 77th minute. Liverpool down to 10 men, of course, after Virgil van Dijk's red card. Do you remember who he replaced in that game? That is today's trivia question. We'll be back with the answer to that, and I'll look at Arne Slot's tactics after this quick break. Welcome back, yeah. Redmenmerch.com if you want any of your Christmas sweaters. I'm wearing one of them. The Arnold Slot one, we saw the Parsnips one before, there's loads. So if you need something to wear over the festive period, your Christmas jumper day coming up or whatever, yeah, redmenmerch.com. Get your hands on one of those. Before the break, I asked you who Darwin Núñez replaced in that famous game when he scored 2 against Newcastle. Luke, any guesses?
No, I haven't got a clue really. I was thinking it was Cody Gakpo, but I'm not sure.
JP?
I went with McAllister.
Yeah, it was. 77th minute, he come on for Alexis McAllister, scored 2 goals, wins Liverpool the game. Assists from Mo Salah, wasn't it? One of them, Harvey Elliott, I think, was involved in one of the other ones. So yeah,
winning the ball back.
Interestingly enough, Jay, Liverpool's record up there is pretty good. Like, you know, we talk about it being a difficult place to go. Like, they've actually done very well up there in recent years. Like it's strange really, because you do sense that, like that yeah, tough place to go. And I bear in mind Newcastle are a bit of a different beast. You know, some of those wins recently came in 2020 when they were a bit of a different side. But I'll just bring it up on the screen in a moment just to let everyone know where we're at in terms of record for those listening. I'll explain it. But they've won the last 3 at St James's Park. They drew in December 2020.
It's COVID that though, isn't it really?
Yeah.
Before that there was 2 other wins. So yeah, it's 5 wins out of 6. The last defeat was in December 2015. They got beat 2-0. But yeah, they've had a 3-2 win, a 3-1, the 1-0, the 2-0, the 2-1. Like,
they've never been like, because that makes it look like, oh yeah, we've got a great record, but they're never always easy games, are they?
They're never easy games. It's always on for the telly, and it's 9 years now since we lost there. And even when we did lose, God, I can remember how we lost there. We scored both the goals. Gini Wijnaldum scored for Newcastle, and we scored our own goals, man. Scale.
I know
so we basically won that game for us. You know what I mean?
And even the 2-0 when they were down to 10 men after Nick Pope got sent off. Like they were in that game. Like they had chances as well. Like it's never been easy, but Liverpool have always found a way. And it feels, Jay, to pull on that thread a little bit, that's kind of what Liverpool are going to have to do here. There's no way Madrid City doesn't take something out of you physically. No, there's a derby on the horizon as well.
Yeah,
some of the
last derby as well at Goodison.
The manager himself admitted, like, there's some, like, for example, Trent Alexander-Arnold not yet completely ready to do 90 minutes. Liverpool have got, not too many rotational options. As far as we were aware from Arnold's presser, nobody's back for this one. There's maybe was Kaiser. Potentially you might be able to get a little bit of him involved at some point, but we don't really know. It's kind of the same again with your squad, and his options are going to be who he swaps in and out. It's going to be there's going to be kids on the bench, probably 2 goalies again. Yeah, this feels like one that your quality is going to have to shine through, but you're half asking a lot of the same lads to go again and just, like I say, get you through this one. Yeah,
with the Trent thing in the presser, because I don't know if I misheard it or anything. Did he say that he can't play the full 90 and he's not going to start, or?
He kind of says it wouldn't be wise for him to play 90 minutes. So I think what
he might start the game and then
he alluded to the fact that he's got Kwanzaa on his bench, and then Kwanzaa will come on for someone.
Because that's what I thought. That's the way the guy who asked the question, I thought he was saying, like, is that what you're going to be able to plug? You're going to have to put Kwanzaa back in there and Gomez, and I thought, because I didn't think that Trent was going to be playing. So that's a little bit of positivity from listening to that this morning, I misunderstood that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely available. He's just not available to do 90.
Yeah, but the next, I think out of the next 9, 6 are away. Yeah. So it's a mad period for us, really, isn't it? Because this week alone, going up to Newcastle, then coming back down, and then the last derby at Goodison, which they will be more up for it than they usually are for the usual cup final, aren't they? So, sorry. But it's like Luke said before, we've done really, really well, but it's always a tough game. So I'm like Luke, I'm confident, but there's still part of me now, because I just take it game by game and go in. Just give me the 3 points now.
Yeah, like I say, it's more like we don't know the effect that the game is to have them. It's interesting though, Luke, actually, given the style of play and given Liverpool weren't chasing either of those games, maybe they haven't quite energy sapped Liverpool like they might have done. They've obviously had to work hard. You don't beat Real Madrid and Manchester City without working hard. But the fact that, like, Liverpool were kind of in control of both of those games at points, maybe the legs aren't too bad. That's what Arnold Slot will be hoping anyway.
Yeah, no, we weren't chasing the games right to the end, were we? And, that's something under Jurgen Klopp that we definitely would have been doing. We probably would have won 5-0 on the weekend. They were absolutely terrible. So hopefully we're not too zapped. I mean, he put the Salam sort of stats up, didn't he, for how long he's working on Sky afterwards. I seen that, and all his numbers are up, but all his sort of work rate stats are down. So we're not working as hard. Obviously, hopefully that's going to play in our favour. But yeah, in terms of the rotational options, we're a bit stung, aren't we? Especially at the back. But I think we can expect Nunes to start and come in, expect Jones to come in, maybe even see Endo come in. So there's still a few options there for rotation. But
yeah, there's a couple at the back's the one what they haven't really got. It'd be interesting. Like he could go to Gerald Kwanzaa, because the issue Liverpool have got now is Joe Gomez is the backup for 3 places. While Tim McCarson and Bradley are both out, and Trent isn't 100%. Joe Gomez can't do everything. At some point, he's going to probably play all of these different positions. It's just whether this week is that time, whether they put Kwanzaa in. He can go right back as well. I kind of got the sense that Slot hinted that he's probably going to go with the same back four and goalkeeper. And he said he's definitely.
He said
Keller's playing.
He said Alisson's not back till he said he'll play in December, but more towards the end.
Yeah, and they're not going to rush him because Keller's been so good, which is the right decision. But I'm guessing. I was trying to think how he could freshen this up if he wanted to, because with the derby in mind. But the only way I could see really was if he wanted to give Robbo a little bit of a break, and play Kwanzaa, and then move Joe Gomez to left back. But my sense is he's probably going to ask them to do the same again.
I think it's going to be the same again, and then maybe if the game's going well on 60, 65, then Trent comes off, or maybe Robbo comes off, and there's the shift that way. So yeah, it's a struggle, but this is where you earn your money. You're making those decisions and getting the subs right. And the one thing I can say about Slot this season is, I think 95% of the time he's got the subs spot on.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Use of the bench. I think Forrest aside, his use of the bench has been.
He's been very clever.
Been really good.
I think it suits us that the unchanged back four, because I think, to be honest, one of them are going to need a rest against Everton. Probably on Sunday, Saturday ourselves.
Saturday, yeah,
one of them are going to need a break against Everton. I think I'd rather have one of the big physical lads in there, maybe playing full back, because they're going to pump it forwards, aren't they? So
yeah, it's a good point actually. He might just say to Andy Robbo, go again and have the weekend off, but we'll see how they go, because you are right. What they're going, whatever they're going to bring down the line. Midfield, he does have options, Jay. So he has actually got a lot of midfielders available. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Jones, Endo, Elliott. This is the one position where if he wants to make a changes, this is where he can do it. My guess is Curtis comes in for somebody.
Szoboszlai.
Do you think? Yeah, I mean, he ran himself into that.
That's the only reason why. Not because he played bad or anything like that. That wasn't like a reaction of like, oh, he was crap. Swap him straight out. He just ran City ragged, and he really did such a brilliant job. And I just think maybe that's a change. It's
just minute management. That's all it is.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Minute management, not to do performance.
The interesting one is that he hasn't managed Ryan Gravenberch minutes at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure Liverpool would love to get into a position where they're comfortable, and even just get him half an hour off. Endo actually did well up against Newcastle last year. He come on, didn't he? And it was 10 men. It was with backs to the wall. At some point he is going to have to do it. I just can't. These two games don't feel it. You look. It's not until you play like Southampton in the cup where you think that's where he's going to get it. But I mean, he hasn't looked like a guy who's fatigued or tiring. But that must be another consideration for him. That at some point he is going to. He looks after McAllister and Szoboszlai a bit. He doesn't. Gravenberch plays all the time.
He does, but there's probably conversations going on between manager and players, and like, do you want to go again? And of course the player's always going to say yeah, but I'm sure honestly these players will say to them, well, maybe if we're all right, then take me off, yeah. But the way Gravenberch is playing, he's in form. He's been absolutely fantastic. He'll want to play every game to keep that going. So. You've always got to take what the player says as well. Yep. Obviously, managers and coaches, they make the decision and they look at the stats, and sometimes the stats will tell you rather than what the player wants to do. So, for me, if we, like I said before, if we're comfortable around the hour mark, then he comes off.
Yeah. I think when you're in this sort of form, you want to play every game, don't you? The way he's playing, and I think the drop off in transition, what we get from him going back to Endo, it's massive, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Endo's a great player. I sing his praises on here all the time, but the drop off in transition would be huge. So he's got to play back to back both of these games, and then probably get a blow against Girona, won't he, to be honest?
I was just thinking I would expect, I was thinking usually I would say 3 to 4 changes from most managers. I can definitely see again. I think Jones plays for somebody, and I think he brings Nunes in for somebody up front. It's whether there is that third one, and if there is, who is it? It's Kwanzaa. It could be Elliott.
It could be.
Harvey Elliott's ready now to go. He's gonna have to come back in at some point. It might be Harvey Elliott as well, Jay, where he says, right, Gravenberch, you're at the 6, and I'll change both the ones in front. Both off the bench. They're both there if you need them. It'd be a bit of a big call, because I mentioned before, Newcastle have got a good midfield, but yeah, that is the one position where he can freshen things up, because he does have options.
Yeah, he does, and I'm more of if I was ever a manager, I'd be like, well, as long as your best 11's ready and they're in good form, and you carry on with that until you start seeing a bit of burnout or you see a bit of worry. Now, yes, they had 2 so like busy games, if you like, against Madrid and City, and the team was absolutely fantastic. But there was no let up at the weekend on against City. Like, I didn't look at any of them players and go, he's knackered him, he's done. You know, he's gonna need a big rest. I didn't really see much of that.
I thought Trent looked a bit tired.
Yeah,
when,
I mean, that's one that we've already spoke about.
He's the one that come off.
I've already spoke about Trent on the show, so it was like looking at the others and going, they can all go again. So, but you do make a good point, the fact that Elliott come back, because I just thought it was a really nice luxury at the weekend for him to come back.
Yeah,
definitely. It was really nice to see him back. So, and again, I wouldn't be bothered if he started. I wouldn't be going, oh, right, we're going to lose now. You know what I mean?
He's a very good player. I haven't seen too much of him. On 4, we've had the super chat from William talking about Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah will play. He says, I think Salah's overrated. He's only good at scoring, dribbling, shooting, tracking back, passing, running in behind, creating space for others, having abs. Yeah. He's good at everything. He is. He's fantastic, isn't he? What have the Romans done for us except everything? Salah's in great nick, and at the moment, Luke, we're almost riding that crest of a wave where, as long as he's all right for now, Liverpool will be confident. Like, whoever he comes up against, left back, right back, whatever someone tries to do. Like, Newcastle have actually got some decent options at left back as well, but it just feels like Salah's on another world, on another planet at the moment.
Yeah, he's the world's best, isn't he, at the minute? And that's all you can say. He's absolutely just riding this wave, and he's so high on it, ready to come down and just put in another 4 tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But I think Lewis Hall as well, he can cause him some issues, I reckon, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be interesting whether they go with Hall. Sometimes maybe Dan Burn and try and kick Mo Salah off the pitch a little bit, which is
maybe.
It depends. But then they'd have to do something else at centre back, and I know Kelly had a bit of a struggle, didn't he? So yeah, that's the conundrum that Eddie Howe's got. How to solve this Mo Salah problem? Because Luke's right. He mentioned the stats before, Jay. He's actually working. He's not being asked to do as much, but he's full of energy for 90 minutes, and he's getting himself into such good positions all the time. And if you back off him, he can pass it, and if you go at him, he can take it past you. Like, that will be the thing that Eddie Howe is sitting there pondering tonight as he picks his team. Like, what do I do to stop Mo Salah?
You just have to double up on him. That's the only way you can stop him at the minute, because Lewis will be having bloody sleepless nights tonight. So we could waste the entire show just talking about Mo Salah. It wouldn't be a waste, but we've spoke about him so much on the last few weeks, haven't we? You know, we're so lucky to have him, and I don't want to go into the obvious question, but we just enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fingers crossed that it's not the last time anyway. As he keeps mentioning, I think Núñez plays. I think he will. I think, again, given the fact that the turnarounds, and actually I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play at Everton. I think Núñez therefore starts. He's got good memory. He's actually scored 3 times against these in a couple of games. So big pitch at their gaff as well. Run around, full of energy, in behind. Jay, I've been asking this question pretty much all the time, and it almost feels redundant. But like, then he's got to decide between Gakpo and Diaz. The fact that Gakpo comes off in midweek maybe suggests Tim. And I think that's probably what I would do. Actually, I think I would keep with Gakpo getting goals. He's 6 and 7, is it? Something like that. Real Madrid, Man City, back to back. Yeah, arriving, in the box to score goals. I think Diaz has been great, but I think he's probably going to start up front against Everton. Therefore, Gakpo for this one makes a lot of sense. It does, mate. And the way Gakpo played as well, like, when we used him as an outball, he was winning every header at the weekend against City. Sort of Salah wasn't really doing the same thing. I mean, there's a height difference between him and Ake, but Gakpo won every single header. He was more. It was the most I've seen him use his physique. Yeah, he looks like a massive lad, but he never really shows it. But he kind of ragdoll Kyle Walker a little bit. He did. And I think if you need an outball, that's one. And I think that's one of the things we will use away at Newcastle tomorrow. And I just think that worked really, really well against City, and I was really impressed with that. So I'd be happy to stick with Gakpo, and then you bring Diaz in for Everton. Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of makes sense. But on that one, he could go Diaz. He might not have to start that, and we don't know. Obviously, we don't know. We're unaware of the Chiesa situation yet. He's training, but he's not training. But he kind of is training, but he isn't. Jota, still no sign of where Jota's at with this rib issue. Mm-hmm. So again, you're asking the same 4 lads to keep going again. You might as well ride the hot hand. And there's not that Diaz has been bad, and he has been in the goals. But Cody feels like he's in a really good moment, and it feels like a good one for him to keep that momentum. Yeah, and I think obviously, like we were talking about just then, with like fixtures coming up, I think Diaz probably is the better option for the 9 against Everton, mainly because Darwin Núñez probably get himself sent off. So, and like you said, he's got good recent history here, Núñez. So I'd fancy him up top. Over to the left wing,
you could play either of them, but both of them they're going to cause Livramento issues. But I'd be sticking Diaz in the 9 for now. That performance against Leverkusen was brilliant, and I know he didn't contribute anything directly in the weekend, but he was still was great on the ball, still causing issues, still being sort of a menace.
Won that pen, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the pen, chasing down the keeper,
And Gakpo actually, he's played 3 times against Newcastle. He's got 2 goals. He scored there in 23 in that game, obviously the Nick Pope game, but I think Gakpo scored before the send off anyway, so he's definitely, he's got good vibes up there.
I think they're 2 of our most physical forwards, and you can see this one being a bit of a physical one, come and break us down, sort of. So I think it's best bet really, Gakpo and Nunes.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Well, the super chat from Ilias who says, do you think we'll go for someone in January?
Which position?
I think what might happen is if someone's got a bad injury, they might do it because it's worth doing.
Yeah,
because given where Liverpool are now, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule, but it's so hard to say. Arne Slot did mention it today in this press, didn't he? Like, that, you know, we are looking and we're having conversations. So
there's still, I mean, we had the conversation in the summer, didn't we, about centre back and a DM and all that sort of stuff. And you know, the longer this goes on with strikers getting injuries in the long term, the more I think maybe that's the position we've got to look at as well. We've just got to look at the spine. Probably. I think actually the injury situation we've half been unlucky, because everyone always says Canate and Jota injury prone, but one got a lad landed on his ribs. That's what I mean.
And the other one got a whack on the knee by some idiot trying to get a ball he couldn't have. Like, you can't really legislate for those. A hamstring pull or a calf issue or whatever, they're things that you think, oh yeah, that's a repeated thing, you could have saw that coming.
Steve, if I fell on you from that height, I'd probably, you know,
I'm well padded, but I reckon even so, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Diogo Jota hasn't got as much padding as
injury,
I've. It's just one of those things, and Canate hasn't been injured. He's just on foot again.
He's always unlucky then with Jota as well. He's had a couple of them now where people have just stood on him or fell on him, or what Brentford last year as well. It happens all the time, and do you know what it is? It's because he's so determined at harrying the ball down. You just think, mate, just give it a blow for a minute. You know what I mean?
I've been worrying if he's running, then he's pulling up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you start complaining about it. You know, about these injuries, but impact injuries, they can't be held, can you?
And this time, unfortunately, this time of the season, like I say, Jason, we're into that period of 9 games in December, 1 down, 8 to go. You're going to get more. Like, the Liverpool aren't going to start. They're not going to get a clean bill of health through this. It's just the odds are someone goes. You've got to just again manage your minutes, look after, but also win the games. And I suppose, Jay, this is the 9-point cushion helps you here, because again, I really hope Liverpool win every game in December. Honestly, it'd be amazing. We'll be champions if they do, but the likelihood is somewhere something will happen. But Liverpool have got themselves a little bit of a buffer. Having said that, it feels like Newcastle, Everton is a massive opportunity. If you win both of those two, everyone's looking at you going, when are they going to drop points? Because, you know, they were meant to drop points in this tough run, and they dropped 2 away at Arsenal, and they won all the rest. If they can keep this going just a couple of weeks longer, even the most optimistic or maybe, you know, glass half full fans of like the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, maybe City, depending on how they feel, even they must be going, geez, like this is tough now, because these are 2 games that our opposition fans, players, managers will be looking. Liverpool could drop points in these next 2. If the Reds can go and get 6 points here, they're flying already, but they're flying supersonic at that point.
Do you think we'll have played anybody good by then?
Yeah, we'll have just played everyone by the time we do that.
But we haven't played anyone above us yet, so
everyone's boxed off then. Like, right, now are we playing anybody good? Right, then Girona knock on the door. Yeah, mate. I think I say this all the time. I just look at it as long as we do our job and we play to the way we play, then none of these games should be an issue. You just don't want to get complacent, and I just take it game by game. And yeah, you can look at, if roles were reversed, I'd be cherry picking when Arsenal can drop points, and we always do it with City, don't we? Cherry picking, right? They could drop there, and they never do. We're in such good form at the minute, and last season we were still a very, very good side, albeit we didn't win the league. We were still a very good side and showing some good form. So people shouldn't be surprised the position that we're in because of how well we've been doing the last 18 months. So just take it game by game, and it's a massive statement to go for 2 games away in a week, and if you can get 6 points from it, mate, your December's looking a lot better.
Because Jay's right, isn't he, Luke? Because I circled Newcastle away as a place City could drop points, and I circled Newcastle as a place Arsenal could drop points. Therefore, by logic, you've got to circle Newcastle away as a place that Liverpool could be an issue. So the Reds will need to be on it. It's again been a tough period, but they've just got to. And what we've seen about this team is they are so mentally tough and resilient. Like, they do find ways, and it's built on that defensive solidity. And there's no reason to suggest why that should be any different tomorrow, other than, like you say, if there's any fatigue involved. But we have shown that we are defensively strong, and then therefore you only need 1 or 2 from Salah or a Gakpo or a bit of magic or a mistake and get you in. It does feel like we're going to need another big performance from Virgil, Gomez, maybe Keller has to make a few extra saves, because they are potent in attack, but our success has been built upon this solid defence.
Yeah, no, they are potent going forward, but they're not creating all the chances towards. I want to stats going towards bottom of the table for that as well. But like I said, when they are getting the chances to taking them, so we are going to probably be calling on Kelleher a couple of times, calling on Virgil to track back and get there. It's like we're all saying, if we can take 6 points from this is massive. And usually I look at the fixtures and I think, oh God, we don't have any good fixtures. Our fixture run's not great, especially over Christmas, and City usually have a great one. But it's roles reversed this time. I just think everything's just lining up in our favour. You know, I know we've got Tottenham away, but you know they've got Man United midweek that week, and we've only got to go to Southampton. And then I know we're coming up to West Ham, and that's obviously going to be a really tough game. Then obviously we've got Fulham at home coming up, but Man City playing Man United and Arsenal playing Man United. You know what I mean? There's some big ties coming in there usually where you'd be looking at it going, Liverpool have the big games. But we don't really, you know what I mean? Tottenham's the only one in the near future where you're looking, oh God, that's a tough one. And obviously the Merseyside derby, because it's 3 points for everyone else, but never is for us. So
it's
just,
so true.
Just see what it is. Try not to get it.
So true.
You don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but if we take 6 from this,
they're in good nick.
Yeah, we're in really good nick.
Do you remember that week when we did win it and we looked at the Tottenham away and United at home and we were like, if we get that 6,
yeah,
then that's what this sort of week feels like for me, because of these tough away games, because the way we've been at, the way Newcastle are at home, and it being the last Goodison derby, and Everton like to put a dint when we go away to Goodison. So it's a massive week, this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to round it off, we're going to ask score for the predictions in a minute, guys. As we also look ahead at the Premier League fixtures over the midweek. It's the Amazon block for those who live in the UK, so there's games all through the week. Amazon have bought these ones, and mad kick-off times, and one starts when the other one goes to half time. It's actually quite great. It's really good.
It's almost as if like the Premier League should do their own streaming.
Yeah, maybe that happens one day.
It should help.
It does happen one day. It will happen. I mentioned before, Jay, Newcastle play 13 games. They've scored 14. They've conceded 14. Pretty much every game they play is a tight game. Either way, really, you know, they don't tend not to batter anybody, and they tend not to get battered. They can lose, and you know they certainly have done before. It feels like, I say, this doesn't, and I hope I'm wrong, it doesn't feel like a game that you are cigars at 80. You know what I mean? It feels like if Liverpool win, they're gonna have to work for this one. If they have to battle back or whatever. Newcastle, like I say, they don't tend to get absolutely well either. It feels like we're in for a bit of a, not slog, but like, you know, watching from behind the cushions a little bit at times tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I just get the win. That's all I'm asked about. You know, we can play awful and get the win, because, you know, sometimes you need an awful performance, but you get the win out of it just to get that out your system. So, yeah, just get the 3 points, boys.
Absolutely. Let me know, by the way, you guys who are watching live in the YouTube or in the Discord right now, your score predictions for this one. Let's have a little look around the league then. That's some of the other fixtures. Obviously, there's 2 games this evening. You've got Ipswich, Palace, Leicester v West Ham. I'm sure everyone will be tuning in for them. Let's move on then. Chelsea go to Southampton. We have to start including Chelsea in this chasing pack, because they are.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're joint second. The only reason that they're not second is alphabetical order. They've got an identical record to Arsenal, and as much as Enzo is playing it down, if we're classing Arsenal as title challengers, we've got to class Chelsea as well.
Give them some respect.
And actually, we found Southampton difficult, but you'd expect Chelsea to win.
Of course you would. It'd be one of them things where we went and struggled, and then another team goes and they obliterate them 3 or 4.
Because it's midweek and the legs have fell off. Well, Southampton, and again, they have improved. They were so unlucky the other day. They got a good point at Brighton, and they should have won. It was a very strange situation. City hosting Forest. Luke's an interesting one, because that should be a banker. But at this moment in time, with this Manchester City side, nothing is a banker. And if there's any team who can frustrate the fuck out of you, it's Nottingham Forest. Again, I know they've had a little bit of a dip, but Nuno will go there, looking exactly what he did to us, just go and frustrate the hell out of those. And if they're not quite at it, which we know they're not, City, you'd expect them to win, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be a routine one. Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult. It depends what Pep does. Depends whether he wants to make it hard for himself by leaving all his top players on the bench and saying they're not good enough anymore, you know what I mean? It's daft. So I think we can expect to see De Bruyne in that playing there, and probably, you know, make it very difficult for Forest. But if Forest can absorb pressure and play on the break like they did against us, they're going to cause issues, and they'll fancy themselves. You know, they've done it against us, why can't they do it there? Yeah. Everton's preparation for the derby, Jay's Wolves at home, which, I mean, 6 points that comes to mind there, really. Wolves, Yeah, up and down, say the least, and they're in a bit, obviously, the banging trouble like everyone is, but I actually don't mind Everton because I'd rather them be playing away, but I was thinking this is a game where they have to expend a lot of energy, Jay, because if they don't, they'll find themselves in trouble against Wolves. That's a game that they probably desperately need to win.
Yeah, especially after the performance against United as well. So that works in our favour a little bit, especially with it being a 6-pointer, but
Wolves are not going to give that up.
No.
They'll run all day.
That's what I was just about to
I think
say.
they were poor at the start of the year, especially when we faced them and we got quite lucky there, but I think they've sort of they've grew into it a bit, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got some goals in the team, Cunha especially.
Cunha's terrifying. If they lose him in January, they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Did you see, by the way, I know this is the build-up, but I need to talk about this about Everton and the FA Cup draw. So Ashley Young has been drawn against Peterborough. He could play against his son. So Ashley Young's son plays.
Really?
He's 18.
I didn't know that.
Everton's starting right back has got a son who's old enough to now play against him in a competitive game, which kind of shows where Everton are a little bit, you know. I say he's the starter because he's the backup for the 35-year-old right back.
Right, okay,
well, but Ashley Young is playing games and there's a chance he plays against his son, which is
how mad's that?
Yeah, his son plays up front for them, which is just a fun stat. Like that's Everton's.
Oh, that's on TV then, isn't it? That's going to be on TV.
So if Everton are suffering for legs, then that might be an example of why, because their right back's a czar of a teenager who's old enough to drink. Like that, you probably don't get that too often. You touched upon it before, Luke. I'll come back to you. Arsenal, Man United. Now, it's at home for Arsenal, and what I would say is that it is Erik ten Hag's Man United. Amarim's starting to get a bit of a tune out of them, and I understand it's not been easy for him, and you know, beating Everton, Sam, but like you don't always have to say that it's the biggest achievement, but there's something there with Amarim, and actually it's his first big step. It's a bit like when Jürgen took us to City, and we were nowhere ready to compete with City on a season basis, but Klopp went there once and kind of laid the marker down to the league, like this is what we're about. Like maybe Amarim can do that for United at Arsenal.
I mean, that's what you're hoping, isn't it? They're probably going to have to play on the break a bit, aren't they, and try and sort of pick the chances, cherry pick a little. I think, you know, I still think they were poor against Everton, even though they won 4-0, especially the opening 25-30 minutes.
Oh, they are crap. They've got crap players. But at least now they're organised crap.
Yeah,
they look like they know what they're trying to do. Like Ten Hag's were crap players and they didn't have a clue what they were meant to do. And
yeah,
you can clearly see that Amarim's idea, the 3-4-3, and how we have build-up plays and we try and get it to Rashford and things. They've at least got a plan.
That's what it is, isn't it? Because like for so long the identity crisis, what do you know what I mean? They didn't have an identity in the Solskjaer. No one really knew what the Ten Hag identity was. They've actually got one now. They know the style of play, they know the system. Amarim's got a point to prove, Annie. So let's just see what he goes and does.
Like I say, again, another one I would expect Arsenal to win.
I would. Yeah.
But who knows? It might not be the most foregone. I think it's a foregone conclusion. If it was Ten Hag's United, maybe the Amarim thing.
There's a new manager bounce thing as well, isn't there? You know what I mean? Especially when they play a big team as well, your first big test.
Well, at least they look like they can score a goal now.
Yeah,
they never scored. No one scored under Ten Hag. It was mad. It was a mistake or a bit of Bruno magic or something. Now the likes of, again, Rashford was ace. He scored the other day. Ahmad's been playing at fullback and looking decent. So they've at least got a little bit of momentum, and the pressure is so on, Jay, for City and Arsenal. They have to be almost perfect, include Chelsea, although they're not kind of counting themselves as title challengers.
Yeah.
Liverpool, this 9-point gap is meant to these guys now. You have to be flawless, and that in itself brings a little bit of pressure.
It does on us as well, because you mentioned before about, you know, we've got this little bit of a luxury to all right, you've got a 9-point gap, but you know, it just takes one result from us to give them a bit of a bounce as well, you know. So they have to be perfect if you want to catch them. It's the same way we had to be perfect against City loads of times as well. So I'm glad we're in our situation and not theirs, but it just makes us having to be perfect as well, especially if there's games where they're playing before us at kick-off time wise, and you just go, right, let's just do our job again. Because if they drop and we can make the gap even bigger, my God.
At least we've got a buffer, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We can a slip up isn't great, of course. No one's condoning it or wanting that, Luke. But at least we have to give ourselves a bit of a barrier. Like they haven't. Like they're 11 for City, 9 for Arsenal. That's huge. Anyway, any more drop points and you're getting into double digits for both of them. I think Pep half gave it up the other day when he started doing the 6 to the crowd. That was almost him waving a white flag.
Lost his head, Danny.
As most as it could be. Arsenal aren't quite there yet.
Good bit of banter though. I did respect him a little bit for that.
Well, I meant more towards at the end of the game when he went to his fans and was like, sorry, clap 6, you know what I mean? That half felt like him waving a white flag. Probably. Arsenal aren't there yet, and they're talking a big game, and Mikel Arteta's giving everyone advice on how to challenge for the title, which is like me and Jay giving you hair advice. After the show, Luke, me and Jay are going to be giving you ideas on what to do with your
tell you. Yeah. Been there, done that.
If Arsenal are finding it tough at the Emirates, and they've done this in the past, again, nerves can jangle, frustrations can grow. They are great. Arsenal, they scored a lot of goals now. Odegaard's flying, Saka's flying. It just feels like they have to be flawless now.
Yeah, but they do look like they've hit a bit of form now after this wake-up call, because they look really dangerous.
Well, again, Odegaard back has been a massive.
Yeah, exactly. And they did look dangerous against West Ham, but they still had a few sort of defensive lapses. I think it's down to what Jay said, really, about this, like, there's pressure now. They know that they don't want to, slip. They don't want to...
They haven't dealt with it too well.
Yeah, they haven't. They're going to be under it massively, and that United team are going to be up for it. So you could definitely see drop points there in terms of Liverpool. Now's not the time to leave the door ajar. If you're going to leave the door ajar, maybe Everton at the weekend, you've got a full week to come back. You've got a midweek game against Girona to contend with. You don't want to leave the door ajar now and then go into Everton with a load of jangles thinking we could drop points here as well and be nervy there. You want to get this one out the way and done with 3 points.
Yeah, it feels like a very significant week in the title race. You always get these mad midweeks, Jay, where, and it's often these Amazon weeks where everyone's playing at the same time. Like, we kick off the exact same time as City, Arsenal kick off 45 minutes later, so they'll know our result and we'll know how they're getting on and all this kind of stuff. The fans in the ground will know all of it.
An early goal for us really would do us some good.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of deflates them before they even get into that stadium. If they hear you losing, if you're 1 down to Newcastle and they kick off,
it's going to be bouncing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye on. Very quickly, then, score predictions. Tom says 4-0. Kyle says 2-1 to Liverpool. Tony says 3-1. Kat says we're the masters of the 2-0. Tom, the other Thomas, says 2-1 to Liverpool in a tight game. Freudian slip and slide, nice name. I'm expecting a 1-0 or 2-0 at best. Yeah, fair enough. I think it's... I think I'm going to go 2-0. I'll go first, but like the second goal comes 80 plus. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be easy at all.
No, I agree with you. I would agree with the 2-0 scoreline as well, but not a convincing always 2-0 sound. I think there might be an early goal for us, but then we're going to wait a while for that second one.
I think we rolling me, just looking at the stats, looking at the stats and the data, it looks like they've been getting out of just about getting out of trouble every week. You know what I mean? And nobody can live with us. I think we roll them 4-0.
Wow. Yeah. That's the confidence a man with hair.
He wakes up in the morning, looks at me and goes, today's going to be a good day. I can wear a hat, I can wear a bandana if I want to. I can't do that.
They're just waiting for a drum and they're waiting for one, you know what I mean? So
they have left it there. Fingers. I mean, I hope it's more yours than ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope Liverpool win. Right, guys, thanks very much for joining me for this one. It was an absolute pleasure. Thanks all you guys for checking out the build-up show. Like I say, watch along time tomorrow night. We'll be live from 6:10 UK time. It's Paul, Chris and myself in the studio. We'll be live from 6:10 with the build-up all the way through to like an hour after the game as well, with all the reaction, hopefully for Liverpool getting another 3 points on this march, fingers crossed, towards a Premier League title. Thanks very much. Catch you all next time.